The Expeditionary Sea Base, often shortened to ESB, is one of the most unique and unconventional warships the US Navy has put into service. At first glance, it looks less like a warship and more like a cut-out oil tanker, or even a floating industrial platform. Sailors often joke that it resembles a parking garage inside an oil tanker. And it really does look like a multi-story car park, if you just ignore the waters around it. That appearance is misleading, because the Expeditionary Sea Base represents a change in how the US Navy thinks about presence, about sustained operations in more permissive maritime spaces, and about working together with allies. The Expeditionary Sea Base was designed to fill a gap between high-end amphibious warfare ships and surface combatants, and small, locally focused patrol ships. Modern destroyers, amphibious assault ships, and aircraft carriers are extremely capable, but they're also expensive, scarce, and often poorly matched to lower-intensity missions such as maritime security, counter-smuggling, mine countermeasures, and special operations. The Expeditionary Sea Base was conceived as a way to perform these lower-intensity tasks and to offload these tasks from high-end warships, freeing the latter to focus on warfighting, while still maintaining forward presence in less critical waters. The USS Lois B. Polar, the first purpose-built expeditionary sea base, provides the clearest picture of what the platform can and cannot do. Forward deployed to Bahrain and operating primarily in the Middle East, Lois B. Polar has functioned as a mobile airbase, a mine-sweeping support ship, and a special operations staging base. During deployment, it supported more than 1,200 aircraft launches and landing involving US and coalition forces, demonstrating just how beneficial the platform can be in terms of offering flexible air power without having to deploy a full-sized fleet carrier. Physically, the Expeditionary Sea Base is a very large ship by any standard. It displaces roughly 100,000 tons, is about 233 meters long, and has a beam of 50 meters. In terms of displacements, it is basically just as large as a super carrier. The ESB cruises at about 15 knots and has a range of around 9,500 nautical miles, or 17,600 kilometers, which allows it to remain forward deployed for long periods. The design is derived from the hull of a commercial tanker, a choice that prioritizes stability and volume over speed and maneuverability. This is not a ship designed to dash into combat, but one built to stay on station. Similar to commercial ships, the ESB's design philosophy is about capacity, sticking to the idea that steel is cheap and air is free. One of the Expeditionary Sea Base's defining features is the massive flight deck. It is among the largest in the US Navy and can operate 4 heavy-lift helicopters simultaneously, with additional deck space available. In practice, this means the Expeditionary Sea Base can host almost every rotary wing and tilt-rotor aircraft in the US inventory, as well as many flown by partner nations. Aircraft that have operated from the Expeditionary Sea Bases include the MH-60 Seahawk, the CH-53 Sea Stallion transport helicopter, the NV-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft, the AH-64 Apaches, and the AH-1Z Vipers, and a wide range of rotary wing unmanned aerial systems. However, the ESB does not and cannot operate fixed-wing aircraft, even those with short takeoff and vertical landing capabilities. The F-35B STOVL fighter does not fly from the flight deck of the ESB, because the high temperature exhaust from the fighter jet is likely to damage the flight deck. Beneath the flight deck sits the mission deck, which is the heart of the ship's cargo space. It is used flexibly to fulfill a huge range of missions. This large open space can accommodate small boats, unmanned naval vessels, containers, vehicles, and specialized mission modules. These modules can include command and control centers, intelligence centers, medical facilities, mobile harbor, and even weapons systems. The mission deck is designed around the idea of plug-and-play capability, allowing the ship to be reconfigured as missions change without requiring any sort of major structural changes. The Expeditionary Sea Base uses a hybrid crewing model that blends civilian mariners and Navy sailors. Civilian mariners from the Military Sealift Command handle navigation, engineering, maintenance, and ship handling, while Navy personnel manage flight operations, security, mission execution, and command and control. This model is efficient, but not without challenges, especially when operating close to potential adversaries. Sudden panic and high stakes can lead to confusion about who's supposed to do what. Experience aboard the USS Lower Speed Polar has shown that careful integration of watch teams and clear delineation of responsibilities are essential for safe and effective operations. Mine countermeasures were one of the original justifications for the ESB, and real-world operations have expanded that role. Polar has supported both airborne and underwater mine countermeasures, hosting unmanned underwater vehicles and remotely operated vessels designed for mine clearing and operating mine hunting sonar on its mission deck. The ship's cranes and deck space have proven well suited to handling these unmanned vessels, although questions remain about launch and recovery in heavy seas. Deployments of unmanned aerial systems, for example for scouting, have emerged as another major ESB mission area, even though they were not always recognized as such. The Polar has flown extensive missions using the Scan Eagle UAV, collecting intelligence and imagery for the US Central Command. This experience had led operators to argue that intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance using UAVs should be formally recognized as a core ESB mission, rather than treated as an add-on to the Expeditionary Sea Base. The ESB has also proven valuable as a lily pad for maritime security operations. Its fuel capacity, deck space, and ability to host small patrol vessels allow us to extend the endurance of partner nation navies and coast guards. This is especially important in regions where many states operate small, short-range vessels optimized for coastal patrol rather than blue water operations. By rafting up to the ESB, these vessels can refuel, resupply, rest crews, and return to patrol without sailing back to port. The Expeditionary Sea Base also allows the US Navy to address piracy, smuggling, illegal fishing, and drugs trafficking, without deploying destroyers or amphibious warships that are in effect overqualified. This frees up more valuable assets towards better uses. Another emerging role for the ESB is a platform for coalition learning and coalition integration. Essentially, it allows the building of interoperability between allies and partners at an early stage, because it has abundant workspace, accommodation, and aviation access. The ship can host large numbers of liaison officers and personnel from other countries. Exercises conducted from ESBs allow multinational teams to train together in a realistic environment. Building habits of cooperation that carry over into real-world crisis. In this sense, the ESB functions not just as a ship, but as a floating headquarters and training center. This role becomes especially important during disasters. In a large-scale humanitarian disaster, such as a tsunami affecting multiple coastal states, an expeditionary sea base could serve as the central command and control node offshore. Liaison officers from affected countries, international organizations, and NGOs could fly directly to the ship, plug into established networks, and begin coordinating relief efforts immediately. The ship's aviation facilities, logistics capacity, and security personnel make it well suited to operate in these low-intensity yet uncertain environments. The ESB's value in crisis response is reinforced by familiarity. If partners routinely train and operate from the Expeditionary Sea Base during peacetime, they know where to go and how to integrate during emergencies. This reduces friction from the very moments when time matters most. Instead of struggling to establish ad hoc headquarters elsewhere, responders can fall in on a platform that already has power, communications, and networks. Despite its strengths, the Expeditionary Sea Base is not without limitations. It is not a combatant in the traditional sense, and lacks the sensors, weapons, and missiles found on destroyers and cruisers. Experience in the Fifth Fleet area of operations has highlighted gaps in command and control systems, including limited access to the Link 16 data network and maritime-specific battle management tools. These shortcomings can complicate integration with carrier strike groups and amphibious ready groups, if the ESB ever have to join one of these formations. There are also survivability and self-defense considerations. While ESBs operate in lower threat environments by design, real-world operations have shown that they can find themselves close to hostile forces. Incidents involving Iranian patrol boats and drones show the need for reliable defensive systems. At the moment, the only weapons the ESBs have are heavy machine guns. Operators have argued for upgrades, such as improved radars and points defense weapons, like the CRAM. Perhaps the most important limitation of the ESB is that it is good at many things, but do not excel at any single one. It cannot match an aircraft carrier's air wing, an amphibious assault ship's embarked marines, or a logistics ship's cargo throughput. As we have said, the ESB cannot operate fixed-wing fighters, including STOVL fighters like the F-35B. The ESB's value lies in flexibility and persistence rather than sheer power. This makes it easy to misunderstand or underuse. Integrating ESBs more deliberately into naval exercises, contingency planning, and public discussions of naval strategy would help ensure they are used to their full potential. Strategically, the Expeditionary Sea Base reflects a broader shift in how maritime power is applied. Alliances and partnerships are increasingly central to US strategy, especially in regions where the US cannot dominate using its own forces. The Expeditionary Sea Base is well suited to this environment because it lowers the barrier to cooperation. In the end, the Expeditionary Sea Base is about adaptation, flexibility, and integration of naval forces from a score of nations. It acknowledges that not every mission requires a destroyer or a carrier. With modest upgrades, clearer mission definitions, and more imaginative use, the Expeditionary Sea Base has the potential to become one of the most useful platforms in the US Navy's inventory.